Okay, kamusta? And how are you with your module? Hopefully that by this time, you are still working with your module. And please, you always refrain from answering your module ilang days lang before the said schedule. Or else, again, you will not be able to come up with a substantial output kasi cramming ka na. Right? Pero still, if you are working with your module on time, you're able to manage your time, and more likely, na-achieve mo yung pag-answer sa yung module. Congratulations for doing so. And hopefully, you continue doing your best for your module. Of course, not only for this subject or for this course, pero sa lahat ng course na meron ka. Okay? Remember na hindi lamang to para sa current na situation natin, para lang makapasa ng requirement, but rather para to sa yung future. So, let us have a short recall regarding the previous topics that we have discussed. So, if you can still remember that for midterms, meron tayong dalawang main na learning theories na discuss. First is the cognitive learning theories, at meron tayong apat na subtopic. First is the cognitive development theory by John Piaget, to be followed by sociocultural development theory by Lev Vygotsky, then information processing theory by George Miller, and of course, the problem solving and creativity, right? Then under behavioral learning theories, first, we have the classical conditioning by Ivan Pavlov. Second, we have connectionism by Thorndike, right? Edward Thorndike. And of course, now, for this video presentation, we will be discussing about operant conditioning. Are you ready? Okay, good. So, operant conditioning, it is by Boris Frederick Skinner, or he is well known as B.F. Skinner. Then again, so wag kayo mako-confuse doon sa mga tao at yung kanilang mga theories, be sure that you'll be able to familiarize itong mga theories na to. Again, all throughout your Prof Ed subjects, may encounter ninyo itong mga theories na ito at itong mga taong ito. Okay, so again, be familiar with these learning theories and to their proponents. He believed that we do have such thing as a mind, but that it is simply more productive to study observable behavior rather than internal mental events. He believed that the best way to understand behavior is to look at the causes of an action and its consequences. So he called this as operant conditioning. Okay? So B.F. Skinner placed a rat in a special cage called the Skinner's box. So itong mababasa ninyo, okay? Ito yung kanyang naging experiment. Nakuha? That has a bar on the wall, or sometimes in other articles, natawag nila tong lever. Okay? So, kapag daw yung daga, pinrest niya yung bar or yung lever, it causes a little mechanism to release a food pellet into the cage. Now, the rat is moving around the cage when it accidentally press the bar, and as a result of pressing the bar, a food pellet falls into the cage. Okay? So, nilagay niya yung daga doon sa cage. Sa cage na yon, meron yung lever at meron doong maliit na butas kung saan automatically kapag na-push or na-press yung lever or itong sinasabing bar, merong lumalabas na pagkain. So, while the rat is looking for an escape, accidentally the rat was able to press the lever, and upon pressing the lever, here comes the food. May lumabas daw na pagkain. Okay? The rat learns to press the bar whenever it wants food. So, natutunan ng daga na kapag pala i-press yung lever, automatically merong lalabas na food. This leads to one of the principles of operant conditioning. Ano yun? A behavior followed by a reinforcing stimulus results in an increased probability of that behavior in the future. In short, no, yung main focus or yung main concept daw ng operant conditioning is that kapag yung isang behavior daw ay sinundan ng reinforcement or yung tinatawag nating reward, more likely the behavior will be strengthened or parang uulitin na yung behavior ng dahil doon sa reward. Okay, so let's watch this short video which is an example, okay, kung ano yung naging takbo ng experiment ni B.F. Skinner. Okay, so that was it. So, kung mapapansin niyo doon sa video na pinanood natin, no? Meron doong bar wherein kapag yun ay pinrest ng rat, di ba nagla-light? Meron doon parang maliit siya na bulb or ano ba ito, nagkakos ng light. So, once the bar is pressed, nagla-light siya, then automatically merong lumalabas na pagkain doon sa butas. Okay, so yun yung experiment ni B.F. Skinner. Now, operant conditioning is a method of learning that occurs through reward and punishment. So when we talk about or when we say operant conditioning, it deals with rewards and punishment. Nakuha? Again, operant conditioning, reward and punishment. It was based on Thorndike's law of effect. Diba yung merong cat, no? Na siya inilagay sa cage and ginawa ng cat yung best niya na makalabas doon sa cage, and paglabas niya ng cage, meron siya nakita doon na food. So nung binalik ulit siya doon sa cage, mas mabilis niya na nagawa yung task niya, which is yung makalabas doon sa cage. Kasi alam niya na merong reward na naghihintay sa kanya sa labas ng cage. Now, behavior that is followed by pleasant consequences or what we call the reward, no? It is more likely to be repeated. And the behavior followed by unpleasant consequences or what we call the punishment is less likely to be repeated, or hindi na siya daw inuulit, or baka lesser na yung pag-ulit nun sa behavior. Through operant conditioning, an individual makes an association, no? With behaviorism kasi, we are more likely, yung stimulus response, lagi siyang merong association. Nakuha? Between a particular behavior and a consequence. Now, reinforcement, it is a behavior which is reinforced, tends to be repeated. Okay, behavior which is not reinforced tends to die. Kapag binibigyan ng reward o yung tinatawag natin na reinforcement, yung behavior daw ay inuulit. Ngayon, kapag hindi nagbigay ng reward or ng reinforcement, yung behavior ay hindi na inuulit. Nakuha? Okay, so Skinner identified 3 types of response. That is, first, the neutral operant, reinforcers, and punishers. Okay? So when we say neutral operants, responses from the environment that neither increase nor decrease. Kumbaga, ano lang siya, neutral or walang nangyayari. Okay? Yung pag-response niya, yung behavior niya, hindi nag-increase, no, or hindi nag-decrease. The probability of a behavior being repeated. So, parang wala lang siyang reaction towards the stimulus. Nakuha? Kapag sinabi naman natin reinforcers, responses from the environment that increases the probability of the behavior being repeated. So, ito daw yung mga ginagamit, no, na kapag ka meron daw behavior or response from the stimulus or the environment, no, more likely, kapag merong reinforcers, nag-i-increase or merong probability na ulitin yung behavior. Nakuha? Punishers, responses from the environment that decreases the likelihood of a behavior being repeated. Now, punishment weakens behavior. So, as we go along with our discussion, mas ma-elaborate natin siya. So, first, reinforcers, or in short, reinforcers reward. This will strengthen the behavior. Now, meron tayong dalawang klase ng reinforcer. We have the positive reinforcement and the negative reinforcement. Yung sinasabing positive reinforcement strengthens a behavior by providing a consequence an individual finds rewarding. Nakuha? After the reinforcement is given, an individual is more likely to repeat the behavior in the future, thus strengthening the behavior. So, kapag sinabi natin positive reinforcement, no, ano daw nangyayari? It strengthens the behavior. No? Parang siya yung naging dahilan para ulitin ng isang individual yung kanyang behavior. Positive reinforcement. So, nangyayari parang rewarding, okay, and pleasurable para sa isang individual yung natanggap niya, rewarding ito, kaya inuulit niya yung behavior. Say, for example, gaya ng ginagawa natin, di ba, kapag yung isang bata, sabihin natin, nakakuha siya ng 100 sa kanyang exam. So, yung positive reinforcement, it could be na bibigyan siya ng ice cream as a reward para sa nakuha niyang 100 na score sa test. Okay? Providing a consequence. Okay. So, ibinibigay siya to strengthen the behavior. Negative reinforcement naman, the removal of an unpleasant reinforcer can also strengthen behavior. Okay. So, the removal of an adverse stimulus which is rewarding to the animal or person strengthens behavior because it stops or removes an unpleasant experience. Ngayon, dito naman, parang rewarding pa rin siya, pero in a sense, okay, na-removal na to siya. Kung dito sa positive reinforcement, reward siya na ibinibigay to increase, no, yung kanyang behavior. Dito naman sa negative reinforcement, still positive pa rin siya, okay? Reward pa rin siya, pero siguro mako-confuse lang tayo dahil doon sa negative na word, negative reinforcement. But actually, it only means na removal. Say, for example, for the whole week, talaga, yung assigned task for you is to wash the dishes. Now, since lahat ng grades mo sa subjects mo ay nakakuha ka ng 95 above, so ang ginawa ngayon ni nanay is the removal of unpleasant or tinanggalan ka niya ng unpleasant, no, na reinforcer which is yung panhugas. Okay, sige, kay tungod kay hataas man imo mga grado hatanan ni mga subject, sige, yan na nga si mana, dirila anay ikaw itman huhugas. Okay? So, it's, at some point, still, that is rewarding. So, there is a removal or pagtatanggal noong unpleasant na reinforcer. Removal of an adverse stimulus which is rewarding. Nakuha yung difference? Kapag sinabi nating positive reinforcement, no? Ibig sabihin nito, nagbibigay ng reward. Yun nga, it could be, sige, kapag ka naging consistent honor student ka from first grading to fourth grading, anong mangyayari? Bibigyan ka ni nanay ng bagong cellphone. So that is positive reinforcement. No, there is an additional na pleasant, no, pleasant na stimulus. Pag sinabi namang negative reinforcement, still ito ay reward, pero removal of unpleasant, kumbaga tinatanggalan ka ng burden. Nakuha? Positive reinforcement, dinadagdagan or binibigyan ka ng pleasant na stimulus or binibigyan ka ng reward. Negative reinforcement, still, this is a reinforcer. Bakit? Kasi, removal of unpleasant stimulus. Kumbaga, yung burden, tinatanggalan ka ng burden. Nakuha? So, still, reinforcer. So, under reinforcers, we have two kinds, positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. I do hope that I was able to elaborate this concept well. Okay, so we have here the different schedules of reinforcement or giving rewards. Okay, kapag nag-apply ng reinforcement, maybe this is familiar with you. Baka kasi ginagamit natin siya sa mga anak ninyo or it could be sa mga kapatid. No? Kapag nakakagawa sila ng positive na behavior sa bahay, it could be, binibigyan niyo sila ng reward, okay, or tinitreat ninyo, or it could be, tinatanggalan sila ng burden, which is also a reward. Okay, so here are the different schedules of reinforcement. Gaya noong elementary. If you can still remember, teaching elementary students, yung mga teacher talaga, more likely, lagi sila nagbibigay ng reward. One thing is that yung mga star, right? Yung mag-stamp ng star dito sa knuckles or dito sa may kamay ng bata, which is another form of reinforcement or reward. Or it could be magbibigay si teacher ng lollipop or ng candy, or it could be magbibigay si teacher ng sticker. Okay? So those were different reinforcement na ibinibigay ng isang teacher sa kanyang mga students, and more likely with the help of those reward, diba? So nabuboost yung behavior, positive behavior ng mga estudyante, na ang tendency ay ulitin nila yung mag-participate, ulitin nila yung mag-recite, no? Mas more ba ginaganahan kung may reward. Now, meron tayong tinatawag na continuous schedule. Okay, kapag sinabi natin continuous schedule, reinforcement is given every time the individual gives the desired response. So, as you can observe, di ba, sa mga TV, when a dog, no, inutusan siya to show a trick, then kapag nagawa niya naman, siya ay binibigyan ng food. Each time, okay? Each time na nagagawa niya yung pinapagawa sa kanya. So, that is continuous schedule. Nakuha? Okay? Or it could be, nasa bata, elementary students, so more likely kapag sila ay nag-recite, tataas ang kamay, each time, no? Sa lahat ng panahon, continuous. Sa lahat ng panahon na mag-raise sila ng kanilang hand, no, or magre-recite sila, bibigyan sila ng star, or bibigyan sila ng sticker, or bibigyan sila ng lollipop. So that is what you call continuous schedule. Or it could be, kahit na hindi naman yung mga, mga external na motivation, pwede rin naman yung mga internal. So this, just like for this classroom application here. So sabi ito, students receive feedback after each response concerning the accuracy of their work. So it could be na internal motivation yung gagamitin ng teacher na kada may nagre-recite, ang ginagawa niya appreciation, very good, good job. Okay, so those were another form of reward, di ba, yung internal na motivation through praises, through mga appreciation ni teacher. So continuous schedule, more likely, no, these are rewards given each time na nagagawa nung learner yung tama or yung ina-expect sa kanya na behavior. Next, intermittent schedule. Ngayon, be careful, okay? Or please do not be confused kasi meron tayong tinatawag na intermittent schedule na merong fixed interval and variable interval. Then we also have ratio schedule na merong tinatawag na fixed ratio and variable ratio. Kapag sinabing intermittent schedule, more likely it is about the time. Nakuha? Kaya kung mapapansin nyo, reinforcement is given irregularly as the animal gives the desired response. Okay? Now, under intermittent schedule, we have here fixed interval. That time interval is constant from one reinforcement to the next. Kapag sinabi namang variable interval, that time interval, so can you observe? Sa intermittent schedule, under this, we have fixed interval and variable interval. So, yung main focus is the time. Nakuha? Time ng occurrence noong behavior na in-expect sa isang learner. So, kapag sinabi natin na fixed interval, the time interval is constant from one reinforcement to the next. No? Ibig sabihin, merong fixed na time, okay, na kapag nagagawa nung bata, say for example, appreciating a student's answer is done for the first response made after 5 minutes. Okay? So, kapag nagawa niya yung behavior, each time, after 5 minutes, after every 5 minutes, nung positive na behavior na ginagawa ng bata, so, ina-appreciate mo siya. Nakuha? Time interval is constant from one reinforcement to the next. So, ibig sabihin, kapag every after 5 minutes, nakuha, every after 5 minutes, nagbibigay ka ng reinforcement. So, that is fixed interval. Now, variable interval naman, still, with time, the time interval varies from occasion to occasion around some average value. Ngayon naman dito, depende siya, but still pertaining to time. Nakuha? So, sabi dito sa example, the first correct response after 5 minutes is reinforced, but the time interval varies. No? Pwedeng after 2 minutes, 3, or 8, or 5 minutes. Nakuha? So, this time, nagva-vary naman siya, depende sa time. Still, sa time pa rin naman. Again, intermittent schedule pertaining to time, no? Reinforcement is given irregularly as the animal gives the desired response. The students are not called on every time they raise their hands, not praised after working each problem. Bakit? Kasi nga sa continuous schedule, sa bawat pag-raise ng kamay, sa bawat pag-participate, sila ay binibigyan ng reward. Pero kapag intermittent schedule, not all the time, nakadepende siya sa time interval. Nakuha? And not always told they are behaving properly. So, it might vary depending upon yung intermittent schedule, pwede siyang fixed interval and variable interval. Pag sinabing fixed interval, there is a constant time interval para sa reinforcement. It could be every after 1 hour. Nakuha? Sabihin natin, every after 3 hours, binibigyan mo siya ng snack. Nakuha? As a reward for behaving for the whole 3 hours. So, that is fixed interval. Kapag sinabi namang variable interval, nagva-vary yung time from occasion to occasion. Say, for example, after 2 hours, bigyan mo ng snack. Now, after naman 3 hours, snack na liwat. Tagaan mo siya as a reward. Now, after 1 hour, tagaan mo na siya reward. Okay? So, nagva-vary siya depending upon the occasion, pero still with time. Nakuha? Okay, so that is variable interval. Next, ratio schedule. Reinforcement is given depending on the number of correct responses. Now, Kung kanina, sa intermittent schedule, it depends upon the time. Ngayon, sa ratio schedule, it depends upon the behavior. Okay? To the number of correct responses or the rate of responding. So, say for example, teacher gives praises to a student after reciting the 5th correct answer. Ibig sabihin, sa ratio schedule, sabihin natin, no, kada bawat tamang 5 na tamang sagot, saka siya binibigyan ng reward. Okay? Say for example, si mama, magsabi siya sa iya anak nga, sige, kapag makakuha ka ng 5 stars sa isang araw, no, bibilhan kita ng ice cream. So that is, ibig sabihin ng 5 stars, yung 5 na correct na answer or positive behavior na ginawa niya sa school. Right? Which corresponds doon sa siya ay mabibigyan ng reward na which is yung ice cream. Now, still, under ratio schedule, we have 2 kinds. No, we have fixed ratio and variable ratio. Kapag sinabing fixed ratio, from the word fixed, of course, every nth correct response, nth, yung nth, nth correct response, depende siya sa kung ilan yung gusto mo. Say, for example, mag-fix ka na, okay, kada tatlong tamang sagot, or tatlong positive behavior, or di kaya it could be 5, 10. Depende. Okay? Or sige, kada 95 na grade na makukuha mo sa kada subject, bibigyan kita 1,000. So, that is what you call fixed ratio. Every 10th correct response receives reinforcement. Nakuha? Kung ano ibig sabihin ng fixed ratio? And of course, variable ratio, every nth correct response, say for example, it could be every 3, every 5, or every 10 na correct response, binibigyan siya ng reward. Pero, yung value ng reward na ibinibigay ay depending upon the average. Sabi pa nito, varies around an average number n. Depende. So, sabihin natin, sige, every 5 na star na makukuha ng bata, bibigyan siya ni nanay ng reward. Sa 5 na star sa isang araw, bibigyan siya ni nanay ng reward. So, say for this day, yung bata nakakuha ng 5 stars at binigyan niya ng 10 pesos. The following day, may dalagi hapon 5 na stars. Pero this time, binigyan ni nanay ng 20 pesos. The following day, 5 na stars na liwat, meron siyang 5 na stars, pero ang binigay lang ni nanay 15. Okay? So, ganun pa rin naman, variable ratio, para din siyang fixed ratio. Okay? Merong every nth, okay, a particular number of response, may corresponding pa rin naman na reward, pero this time, with variable ratio, yung value ng reward nagbabago-bago. Nakuha? So, hopefully, we are able to understand kung ano yung continuous schedule. Again, kada may ginagawang positive, each time na meron siyang response, binibigyan siya ng reward. Intermittent schedule, irregularly, it depends or it might vary depending upon the time na ibibigay mo doon sa individual. Fixed interval, no? Ibig sabihin nito, merong fixed na time, limit of time or range of time, na kapag doon sa loob ng range of time na yun, kahit ilang beses pa siya, no, ilang beses pa siya gumawa ng positive na behavior or ng good behavior, it could be na isang beses lang or 3 or 5, as long as pasok siya doon sa particular na time range, it could be 1 hour, 2 hours, as long as pasok siya doon sa fixed na time interval, okay? So, binibigyan siya ng reward. Sa variable interval naman, iba-iba yung time na binibigyan mo siya ng reward. It could be, set ka na time na to, 1 hour. The following naman, 30 minutes lang. The following, 3 hours. So, depende siya sa time. Now, ratio schedule, nakadepende naman siya sa response, depending upon the number of correct response ng isang individual. Fixed ratio, kada nth, or depending upon doon sa fixed na number na behavior, positive behavior na nagagawa niya, saka mo siya binibigyan ng reward. Yung sa variable ratio naman, ganun din. Pero this time, nagbabago yung value ng reward na ibinibigay mo doon sa bata. Okay na? Okay, let's proceed to punishment. Now, punishment, kung kanina sa reinforcement, ito ay nag-strengthen ng behavior or with the use of reinforcers, mas nabibigyan ng probability na ulitin pa yung positive behavior na ginawa ng individual. Ngayon, with punishment, this weakens the behavior or para maibanan or para maging lesser ang iya mga behavior. The opposite of reinforcement, since it is designed to weaken or eliminate a response rather than increase it. Kuha, kapag sinabing, meron tayong two types pa rin. Kung kanina sa reinforcement, meron tayong dalawang type, positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. Talking about positive reinforcement, paghatag in any pleasurable na stimulus, rewarding. It could be money, or it could be praises, appreciation, or any external motivation or internal motivation. So that is positive reinforcement. Talking about negative reinforcement, it pertains to anything removal of unpleasant na stimulus, or babawasan ka ng, it could be trabahoon, or babawasan ka ng any burden. Still, that is a reward. Bakit? Kaya syempre, malilesen na it imo burden, it imo mga irintindihon. Okay? Now with punishment, ganun pa rin, meron tayong dalawa. Positive punishment and negative punishment. Kapag sinabing positive punishment, it is the addition of unpleasant. No? Dinadagdagan ka ng burden na, or unpleasant stimulus to decrease the behavior. Sigunta, lumakat ka, nawaray sarit, ha imo ginikanan. Tapag uli, ging kasinahan ka, so, siring nanay, sige, para diri ka magnilakat, ikaw na it maghuhugas yan na kada gabi. Kati mahiton, ikaw nagyapit maniphid. Okay? So, that is positive punishment, addition of unpleasant stimulus. Kung dati, diri mo unta trabahoon na it manhugasin plato, ngan maniphid, tungod kay, no, meron kang negative behavior na ipinakita, kaya dinagdagan ka ng unpleasant na stimulus. Which is, nang dahil sa idinagdag sa'yo, no, na unpleasant stimulus or idinagdag sa'yo na burden, the tendency is, next time, diri ka na malakat nga waray sarit. Okay, that is positive punishment. Next is negative punishment, the removal of pleasant stimulus. Nakuha? Or pagtatanggal ng pleasant na mga reward or anything that is pleasant for us. Okay? It could be, say, for example, since nakipag-away ka sa isang classmate, so, ano mangyayari ngayon? Grounded ka na. Okay? Or it could be, babawasan yung iyong allowance, or di kaya dahil sa hindi mo na na-manage yung time mo or hindi mo na maintain yung grades mo, sige, confiscate laan na its cellphone. So that is removal of pleasant stimulus. Nakuha? So negative behavior, or negative punishment is the removal of pleasant stimulus. Tatanggalan ka or babawasan ka or kukuhaan ka ng anything that is pleasant for you. It could be time, no? Sige, tungod kay nag-decrease yung grades mo sa school, kutob ka na lang yan na alas 7. Pag alas 7, dapat diri ka na sa cellphone, dapat diri ka na nag-watch in TV, dapat maturog ka na so that prepared ka na for the next day sa school. Ganun ba? Okay? Removal of pleasant. Or it could be, confiscated mo na yung phone. Ni-remove yung pleasant. Kasi, ano yun di ba? Ano natin yung entertainment yung phone. Okay? So, that is negative punishment. Now, here is a note. It is not always easy to distinguish between punishment and negative reinforcement. Bakit kaya sa tingin niyo nasabi na mahirap daw i-distinguish yung punishment and negative reinforcement? Remember, negative reinforcement is the removal of unpleasant na stimulus. Okay? So, kapag sinabing negative reinforcement, hindi naman siya totally na nagiging punishment. Siguro because of the word removal or negative na reinforcement. But more likely, with negative reinforcement, rewarding pa rin naman siya kasi in a sense na naiibanan kita hin burden. Nakuha? Ngayon, punishment naman, nasasapungan kita hin burden or nagiging burden para haaton so that ito nga ginhatag sa aton na punishment, magiging dahilan yun para ma-weaken yung ating behavior. Nakuha? O yung negative na behavior. Now, we have a problem when it comes to punishment. Okay? First, punished behavior is not forgotten. It is suppressed. Behavior returns when punishment is no longer present. Okay? So, sabi dito, no? Yung na-punish daw na behavior, hindi siya totally nawawala. But rather, bagadapit la kuno siya na de-decrease, no? Pero kapag kagintanggal na ang punishment, ato na balik na liwat. So, that is what we mean by first problem with using punishment. Second, causes increased aggression. Diba? May tendency, no? Mga kabataan, especially nowadays, na kapag binigyan sila ng punishment, anong nangyayari? Nagiging aggressive. No? Lugod, baga nagre-rebel, diba? Okay? Mas nagiging aggressive hera. Okay? Third, creates fear that can generalize to undesirable behavior. So, tungod kaging punish ni mo hiya, ang tendency, mahahadlok na siya. So, hindi na siya magta-try next time, no? And it could daw result to undesirable behavior. So, more likely, dahil na-punish siya, mahamubo na iya self-esteem. It could be, no? Then, fourth, do not necessarily guide toward desired behavior. Enforcement only tells you what to do. Punishment only tells you what not to do. Okay? So, more likely, with the use of punishment daw, ano nangyayari? Hindi daw niya nag-guide, no, yung isang individual toward a desired behavior, or hindi tungod dito na punishment, hindi siya totally nababago or hindi niya totally nagagawa yung desired behavior. Okay? But rather, parang nadidistinguish lang niya, ay siguro diri maupayan akong ginbuhat kay gin-punish man ako. Okay? With the use of punishment daw, more likely parang it is a mere identification of what is right and what is not. Since you are not punished, then okay lang ata yung ginawa ko. Since you are punished, bad ata yung ginawa ko. Okay, so that is the problem with the usage of punishment. Now, we are encouraged, no, as a teacher, to use alternatives to punishment. But then again, even up to this day, actually, teachers are at some point still using punishment. Pero this time, hindi na kasi katulad ng traditional way ba of giving punishments. And sa una kasi, talaga yan, physical na mga punishments, di ba? Sometimes, si teacher may dalang stick talaga, pwedeng mamalo ng bata. That will serve as a punishment, no? Or it could be, if you can still remember, or have you heard about the story na meron daw mga teacher na yung mga makukulit nilang mga estudyante kinukulong sa CR, or it could be kinukulong sa aparador, di ba? So those were very harsh punishments, of course. But nowadays, we can use pa rin naman punishment, no? Pero always remember this one, na meron ng batas. Okay? Meron ng batas para sa mga bata. Kawawa naman tayo, walang batas para sa atin kapag tayo na yung argabyado with our students, no? But then again, no, still, we can use punishment, pero you make it sure nga itong liwat nga punishment, di rin liwat hiyadoro. Pero, sabi nga dito, no, we can use alternatives to punishment. So, first is that, change the discriminative stimuli. Move misbehaving student away from other misbehaving students. Nakuha? So, ganito yung nangyayari, right? Sa elementary, na kapag ka, duha nga estudyante, tulo, Nagsigi, harutan, nagsigi saba, no? Anong ginagawa ni teacher? Sige, didi ka na lingkod, bulag ka mo, magbulag ka mo, kay para di rin na ka mo magsinaba. Okay? So, sabi to, move misbehaving student away from other misbehaving students. So, that is the first. Next is that, allow the unwanted behavior to continue. Have student who stands when she should be sitting. Okay? Ito na yung parang some point. Ito yung tinatawag nating reverse psychology. Allow unwanted behavior to continue. Kita. Kapag may teacher tayo na nagsabi na quiet, ano nangyari? Ang mga estudyante na duroy lugod pag sinaba. Pero, say for example, I have experienced this one when I was teaching in with high school students, na pag sinabi mo quiet, naduroy, nagsisinaba. Pero pag sinabi mo, sige, kusgi pat iyong mga tingog, kaya direct nakabate, nahunong lugod. Diba? Na-behave lugod, hira. Kung sige liwat, tindog, hala, pag signal mo nga, take your seat, sit down. No? Diri lugod na noon. Pero kapag sinabi mo, sige, walang uupo ha, lahat kayo tumayo, nalilingkod lugod. No? So, you allow unwanted behavior to continue, sila rin yung makaka-realize na hindi pala tama yung behavior na ginagawa nila. Or parang reverse psychology. Next is, extinguish the unwanted behavior. Ignore minor misbehavior so that it is not reinforced by teacher attention. Okay. Now, meron kasi tayong mga estudyante na yung gusto lang nila is to catch attention. And once they were able to catch the attention of the teacher, nanduduroy it behavior. Right? Have you experienced that one? Kung may mga kids kayo sa bahay or mga na-observe ninyo na mga kapatid ba yan, no? Mga pinsan nyo or anak ninyo, na kapag the more mo tagaan si attention, sabon, damay lugod nga nakusog it pagtangis. Diba? Sabi to, ignore minor misbehavior so that it is not reinforced by your attention. So, pasag di siya. No? Pasag niya nga da, kay mahunong na ito siya, sit iya misbehavior. Next. Condition an incompatible behavior. Reinforce learning progress which occurs only when a student is behaving. Ano? Condition an incompatible behavior. Reinforce learning progress which occurs only when a student is behaving. Okay, so you try to appreciate, of course, kapag merong learning progress, dapat bigyan mo ng appreciation. Okay? Kapag nagbe-behave or anything na meron siyang positive behavior na ipinapakita. Uy, si ano, talaga behave lain niya siya. Diba? Have you experienced that one? Na, believe good ako ini kan, kan totoy kay ini siya nga bata, na behave good la ini siya. Anong tendency ng ibang bata gagawin? Or ibang student? Or ibang learners? So, more likely, kay gin-appreciate mo man si totoy, ang ibang nga mga estudyante, na behave gihapon, hera. Nakuha? Okay. Oh, so that is all, no? So, those were the different alternative to punishment. So, again, when we say operant conditioning, it pertains to rewards and punishment. It is by B.F. Skinner. When we say reinforcement or rewards, no, it is more likely to increase, no, or to strengthen the behavior. While when we say punishment, it weakens the behavior. Meron tayong dalawang type for reinforcement. We have the positive reinforcement and the negative reinforcement. For punishment, meron din tayong positive punishment and negative punishment. Then, we also have this schedule for enforcement, and we have here the alternative to punishment. So, let us try to check your module. Okay, so here, no, read again. Do not simply depend on this video, but rather, please do spend time reading your module. Okay? Okay, so here, again, first, you are to make a graphic organizer that will summarize all the concepts that you learned from operant conditioning, B.F. Skinner. Second, you are to complete the table below by defining reinforcement and punishment in your own words. Then you cite, you cite real life or classroom applications regarding reinforcement and punishment. And third, okay, so you are to answer this one. Operant conditioning focuses on increasing the likelihood of a behavior being repeated through reinforcement, decreasing through punishment. Discuss how your professors use, so paano ba ginagamit ng mga teachers ninyo or instructors ninyo ang reinforcement and punishment sa inyong classes. Now, which do you feel influences your behavior more? Is it the punishment or the reinforcement? Then, bakit? Now, with express, of course, you kindly read and analyze the questions, and then you are to make reflections from the questions provided, and then again, be guided with the rubric provided. This is how you will be graded. Nakuha? Again, if you have questions or clarifications, kindly raise your question, clarifications through our group chat. Hopefully that you are able to understand the discussion regarding operant conditioning. So thank you and God bless.